What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video here inside of the nerdy realm and the multiverse. Another week, of course, brings us yet another episode of Moon Knight. So today we'll be talking about and giving our thoughts on the third episode of Moon Knight, titled The Friendly Type. Of course, we'll be touching on spoilery parts of the episode, and in this episode, there are definitely some things that you may not want to hear if you haven't seen the episode yet. So this is your spoiler warning now. Feel free to come back here once you've seen the episode for yourself. First, I want to touch on some of the important details and events that occurred during this episode, and also some things we were able to put together and figure out as well. We learned that Layla's father was murdered, and this situation could turn pretty dark for our characters. As we hear Arthur Harrow mention Layla's father murder, and that she deserves to know the truth about what Mark did and who he truly is. Layla's father seemed to refer to her as his little scarab, which could mean absolutely nothing, but it also could mean that her family has already had connections to the scarab that is now in Arthur Harrow's possession. We also got some scenes of Mark and Steven arguing, specifically after the two men were killed, and when Mark wakes up to it, he questions Steven what he did, and Steven says it wasn't him either. This obviously means there is a third identity, and this identity is most definitely going to be, and we believe this to be, Jake Lockley, who is a street smart taxi cab driver in the comics, and it seems in the show he may possibly be the most brutal one out of the three. We also got a mention of Madripoor in this episode as Layla and Mark were visiting Anton Mogart. Anton is actually Midnight Man, a Moon Knight villain from the comics that enjoys stealing relics. And during the battle, we can see in the background that the clock is on the time of midnight. Anton was played by Gaspard Ulliel, who sadly passed away before the show premiered. Rest in peace. We got a lot of backstory behind the relationships between the gods and why Khonshu was banished, as he claims he was the only one who didn't want to abandon humanity as the others did. They also mentioned that many others before him were imprisoned. I wonder who they may be. Khonshu or Mark could possibly have an ally in Hathor and her avatar, as Hathor and Khonshu have had a long history together, and she may seek to help him even further than her avatar already did. The episode also gave us an idea of how powerful Khonshu can be, as he turned back the entire night sky and the moon in two beautiful and super well done scenes. He did this to help Mark, Steven, and Layla locate the burial site of Amit so they can stop Arthur from releasing her from her tomb. Of course, this caused the other gods to make the decision to imprison Khonshu in stone, which is exactly what happens and how the episode basically ends before Arthur talks to Khonshu and tells him that he owes this victory to him. Now that we've touched on the main points that happened during the episode, we can give our thoughts on everything. Yet again, this show does not disappoint one bit. I feel as if this show is getting better every single episode. I loved this episode a lot. Now that we've basically got confirmation that Jake Lockley also exists and that they won't be leaving him out of the story in the series, I can confidently say that I have no worries left, and all I want now is the next episode. The actors on this show are just phenomenal at playing their roles and characters. I've said it every week, and that's just because it's so impressive how well Oscar Isaac is able to pull off all of these different personalities and the constant switching of character. Now that Jake will most likely get his main appearance soon, I am wondering if Jake Lockley is buried deep down because he is the most brutal of the three identities, and he may possibly be the reason Layla's father was killed. The action is obviously great in this series and episode, but the story is so intriguing, and that's amazing because that's how Moon Knight is, a lot of storytelling. I also want to mention that the interpretation and visuals of Egypt is relieving because it's being done correctly, and it's actually being portrayed the way it should be as a modern civilization. I'm also loving how Steven is basically seen as the detective and the smarter one out of all of the personalities, as they essentially need him to put the Egyptian puzzles together. I do have a pretty big feeling that a major comic book moment will happen towards the end of the series, and that's the "We are Moon Knight and we never needed you" moment from the 2016 Lemire run. I am so glad that the live action portrayal of one of my favorite comic book characters of all time is being done so well. I also want to mention that the music in this show is great. I really love this episode, and I'm loving the series as a whole so far. I'm excited and anxious to get the fourth episode next week, especially now that Khonshu is imprisoned and Mark and Steven no longer have access to this suit and the powers. That's about it for the third episode of Moon Knight. Let us know what you thought about the episode and if you are happy with Moon Knight's live action portrayal in the comments down below. With all of that being said, if you're feeling extra nerdy today, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on to help support the channel and to get more nerdy content from us. And if you wish to support us even further, feel free to check out our clothing designs and check us out on other platforms such as TikTok. As I always say, we will see you all the next time that we go through and explore the nerdy multiverse.